Okay, I had a question from a trapper on how do you decrease the pan tension on a Wolf Creek #2. Now, I only have one of these. I bought it just to check it out when they first came out. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's nothing wrong with the trap. I just am not a big fan of the old Montgomery style dogless trap. I like to bed a trap on a high pan. I put my hand under the pan when I bed a trap, and you can't really do that with the Montgomery style dogless. So I just more or less bought it just because I'm curious and I have a trap fetish and I wanted to check it out. But I did play around with it, and I did get it down to what I consider to be acceptable tension for, if you're coyote trapping and you have, foxes on your line and you want to catch all the foxes too. I got it to a acceptable tension, and that's before it's waxed. So obviously if you're going to wax your traps, the tension's going to drop a little bit more. But basically what you do, first off, and the Montgomerys were like this too, but they came with a screw or bolt coming off the bottom and a nut underneath there. And that was, I believe it was a type of pan tensioning device that you could only let it go up so far. But to me, if the pan, there's just and all of the Montgomery style pans are like this, there's a little bit of side-to-side slop. And if you have it off to one side or the other, and that's not adjusted right, it might not catch right. It just made a dangerous situation for me. And like I said, I don't use the Montgomery style dogless. I really don't like them. Nothing wrong with this trap. It's just not my style. So I cut that off and ground it away because I'm not a fan of that bolt that was protruding from the bottom of the pan and going underneath the base. So that helped, just so I could get it adjusted correctly, is getting rid of that. And I know a lot of guys get rid of it. When they were on the old Montgomerys, the guys cut them off too. Okay, if you watch my other video on the Dog On #2 Wolf Creek, I popped the jaws out and I smoothed them on my vertical belt sander. That video is on the YouTube channel here. Basically that helps too with the pan tension. It makes a rounded edge, and it just goes off a whole heck of a lot easier than with a squared off edge. The other thing I did is basically, like, you more or less just need to file. If you can see that, you got to file that at an upward angle and get it nice and smooth, no burrs or anything like that. Nice and smooth, rounded, and at an upward angle, and that will get your pan tension down. Like I said, you don't want to go too low if you're going to wax your traps, because that's going to drop it as well. But there you go. And I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on there, and it's hair. It probably will be actually too low if I would wax this trap, but that's what I did to get the tension down on these. And I'm, like I said, I admit I'm not a big user of these traps. I have 12 of the Montana dogless, but I never used them a lot because I'm not a fan of the old Montgomery dogless style. I know a lot of guys are. Don't give me hate because of that. It's just not my style, but I just wanted to prove that you can get this tension down low enough for fox.